with Beethoven. So,
There we go.
did you turn that off? I don't know if too many of you remember, but Harry had a piercing whistle that could just stop all the noise in a room. And he said that was one of his many skills that he learned in college. And the only useful one. This morning we are very honored to come speak with us is Jeff McKay, the chairman of the Fairfax County Board of Supervisors. Harry and I knew Jeff since he graduated from college and began working for Supervisor Supervisor Kaufman. Yeah, so here's the mic.
Thank you very much, Nancy. Well, good morning, everyone. Thank you all for coming out today. It seems fitting that we're out of chairs to come and celebrate the life of somebody that we all loved and cherished. And it seems also appropriate that the world's leading conservationists, naturalists would all be gathered in one place today. That's what I'm looking at here. But in all seriousness, we know how much Harry would appreciate this. How much he would appreciate you taking the time to come out and celebrate so many of his accomplishments. And I was commenting with somebody earlier that Harry's presence will always be here and always surrounding all of us, because I think we all can remember the intelligence that he brought to each of our minds by conversation, the belly laughs that he brought to each of us with his humor. And I think even today, the fact that it's been frigid cold out the last couple of days is Harry going back to his Chicago roots, punishing us all. But it is, and I have to leave here to go back to board committee meetings, and one of them today is a joint meeting with the Board of Supervisors and the Park Authority Board, which I also think was designed to happen today in honor of Harry. But when I look at all the things that he was involved in, sometimes you work closely with someone and you realize you see them at so many things that you go to, but you don't think about the totality of the things that they're involved in. And looking back over the things that Harry has done, even just in Fairfax County, but I know that is extended into Prince William and other areas, but looking over the things that he has accomplished and done and the ways that he has served in Fairfax County, can only be replaced by an army of 25 or 30 people, honestly. And the dedication and time that he took to just do a simple thing, which is to remind people the things that we can do, all the things that we can do to improve our planet, are really telling. And so I met Harry, as Nancy said, I met Harry when I was working in Supervisor Kaufman's office, who is here today as well to honor Harry. But I met Harry working in Dana Kaufman's office nearly 30 years ago. And certainly Nancy Veers also I've known for nearly 30 years, which is pretty amazing when you think about how fast time goes by, and how much sometimes we take for granted those years. And so when I first met Harry, he had a passion for Huntley Meadows Park, which is something I had a passion for. The only difference between the two of us is I would walk through Huntley Meadows Park just for a moment of quiet, and Harry would walk through Huntley Meadows Park and know the subspecies and species of every single thing that he saw. Not just birds, everything. And he instilled that in all of us, so now I know the differences between a handful of birds. I wouldn't know that if it wasn't for Harry. But he was a joy to be around and someone who gave so much to this community. And I know he has friends here from Prince William County. Are you a friend from Prince William County? Yeah, so a lot of Prince William County people. So I asked that ahead of time so I can only say positive things about our partners in Prince William County. You're welcome for having Harry come and teach you all so many things that he taught us here in Fairfax County. And so I just wanted to, on behalf of the board, offer our sympathies to the family, to Nancy in particular, who has been a friend for so long, and to reflect, for all of us to reflect on the enormity of what Harry did and what he brought to our lives, and to double down on what we can do to make sure we keep that passion and energy moving forward to save our planet. And I think, one of the things that I want to do is I want to read, we had a chance to honor Harry at the Board of Supervisors, and I did not have an opportunity, and I was not even going to attempt to read all of the things that Harry worked on, and I'm not going to do that here either. But I am going to read a quote that was attributed to Harry that I think really sums up his whole life in a really simple way, and his marching orders for all of us as we move forward. And it's pretty simple. And he summed up in his own words, "I can think of nothing quite so simple to understand as the need to conserve the resources of our planet. If for no other reason than the health and well-being of our family and ourselves, we should devote what is necessary to this end." Very simple. And I think a lot of times we get caught up in the complexities and arguments, differences of opinion, but if we all just focused on the simplicity of that comment attributed to Harry, I think all of our planet would be a better place, and that's what he would want and expect from all of us in this room moving forward. And so it's an honor and privilege to call him not only an advocate, but more importantly to me, a friend, an advisor on so many things that we will all miss tremendously, but we all have the power to move forward and continue to work in Harry's legacy. And I know other speakers after me will talk more about that. But thank you, Nancy, and thank you to his family for sharing it with us. He can turn off the cold weather at any time now, and none of us would complain. And I know each and every day as I go about, I'll be thinking of Harry's presence, the things that he has told me, taught me, and the legacy that he has left here for our community to savor and to act upon. So, Nancy, thank you for allowing me a few minutes to be here with all of you today.
Thank you, Chairman. Okay. So Dana is here. Where is Dana?
In the back.
Ah, way back there. I'm so glad to see you here. I thought I'd take just a minute here to gauge where everybody is from. So Chairman McKay already said Prince William. So how many of you knew Harry through the Virginia Native Plant Society? Huntley Meadows. Master Naturalists, Master Gardeners, Park Foundation, Park Board, Soil and Water Conservation District, yeah, both Northern Virginia and Prince William.
Green breakfast.
Green breakfast, yeah. He did that as the member of the Northern Virginia Soil and Water Conservation District, yes. Monday morning burgers, the Huntley Meadows people. Monday morning burgers? Well, that's, yeah. Thank you all for coming. So next up is Bill Bowie. He was the longtime chair of the Park Authority Board when Harry was on the board, and now he's in emeritus status, but he's still the representative of the Hunter Mill District. Please welcome Bill Bowie.
Thank you, Nancy. With so many public figures here this morning, does this qualify as a public meeting? Because I want to know, do I get 3 minutes or 5 minutes?
Or we had to FOIA, put notice out.
Exactly. Okay. So Harry was my friend and my partner on the Park Authority Board, but I want to say thank you to Nancy and to everyone, the family, for allowing me to speak this morning. Harry was a member of the Park Authority Board from 2005 when I joined to 2012. He served as the vice chair with me from 2009 to 2012. And he was my everyman. He was a confidant, he was a teacher, and he was true to his previous life as an intelligence officer. He kept abreast of everything that was going on in the county, especially as it related to parks, the environment, trees, and finally Huntley Meadows Park. We would chat the day before every board meeting to make sure that we were prepared. And if we had any unanswered questions that needed to be prepared for the next evening. Harry taught a boy from Detroit about the importance of stream mitigation and tree canopies, about the value of the environment and how we put values on those valuable things and all that it had to offer. We tried to get the county, as part of the annual legislative package each year that's submitted, to actually put a value on trees so that when they were destroyed, there was an actual cost because of the impact of that loss. We will continue to try and make that happen. Harry did not lose touch when he left the board. He remained active on the Park Foundation board as a leader and as a major contributor. He supported the Parks Foundation as a donor on many, many projects, including the Woodland Education Stewardship Center, helping to ensure the lasting environmental education and stewardship. Harry also supported the 4-H efforts in the county, and especially all of those at Frying Pan Farm Park. We faced many critical decisions together, and he was very instrumental in the implementation of our natural and cultural resource management plans, and making sure that they had a funding source outside of the monies that we got from the general fund. We taxed ourselves, and that's still in place today. 20% of all monopole monies generated in parks is dedicated to those programs because of Harry. Harry was involved in everything, it seemed, with his enthusiasm and his dedication. He served on the Fairfax Chesapeake Bay Exceptions Committee. He was the tree commissioner. Harry earned such awards as the Sally Ormsby Environmental Stewardship Award, the NACPRO Outstanding Contributor Award, the Fairfax County Lord Fairfax Awards. Harry was a Lord. The Citizen of Merit Award. He was the founder of the Park Authority's Federation of Friends, a member of the Friends of Huntley Meadows Park since 1990, and multiple Fairfax County Friends groups, the Prince William Conservation Alliance, and he chaired the Alliance Conservation Committee. So how can you honor such a man and his legacy? It's a tough question. So I would say, take a morning or evening walk through your favorite park and thank Harry for his contributions in making our lives better. Harry soars like an eagle today. He's a birder. He's gained his wings and will always look over us. He would love it if he went out and planted a tree. Life continues just as Harry would want it. He left his mark. And the last thing he ever said to me was, keep going, keep going strong. Thank you.
Well, thank you, Bill. Appreciate that. Next we have Kathy Ledeck, who has come all the way down from Cape Cod. She used to be Miss Huntley Meadows, the president of the Friends of Huntley Meadows Park, and she also was chair of the Tree Commission, and she was Citizen of the Year 1 year for Fairfax County. And please welcome Kathy Ledeck. For those of you standing, there's some more chairs over here if you wanted to sit down, just to let you know. So good morning, everyone. So I'm Kathy Ledeck, and I knew Harry when George and I lived in Fairfax County. As Nancy said, I served as past president of the Friends of Huntley Meadows Park and was the former chair of the Fairfax County Tree Commission. I'm really, really pleased to see all of you here to celebrate Harry Glasgow. For me, Harry was more than just a friend and a mentor. He was a guiding light who touched the lives of many. Today, we gather to celebrate his life and honor the profound impact he had on both people and the environment, especially at Huntley Meadows Park here in Fairfax County and beyond. I first met Harry over 20 years ago at Huntley Meadows Park, of all places. I remember his boundless energy and his role as an elder statesman on issues related to Fairfax County parks. He often talked about his wandering the halls
and dropping in on FCPA staff to talk about whatever was on his mind at the time. He was a fixture in the Monday morning bird walk, the Christmas bird count at Mount Vernon, and he was always busy with Nancy in the springtime, checking in on his bluebird boxes at the Coast Guard station. He always had opinions and ideas to offer at the Friends of Huntley Meadows Park board meetings, and he guided me many times as I tried to figure out how best to convince the Board of Supervisors about the importance of protecting our natural resources. He advised me often in preparing public testimony. He always had ideas and opinions on what to do when working on behalf of the Friends of Huntley Meadows Park, and I was following in his footsteps. He paved the way for me and for the Friends of Huntley Meadows Park to become a highly respected, well-organized, and sustainably funded group of citizen activists. Harry's limitless energy and unwavering commitment to protecting Huntley Meadows Park and our natural surroundings defined his character. His enthusiasm was infectious and inspired everyone around him to care deeply for the environment. Personal accolades and awards after today's talk, please come by and see a few, only a few. There's a big box underneath the table if you want to look more. While the awards were helpful, recognizing his many years of devoted service, for Harry it wasn't about that. He was always on a mission to protect the environment. As one of my mentors, Harry was always teaching and showing me the way. He embodied the practice of training others who would be a force multiplier. By preparing future leaders, he would know that we would be there to carry the torch for him when he was gone. He guided many on their environmental advocacy journeys. He understood that we were defending our natural resources to benefit future generations. Harry was one of the founding members of the Friends of Huntley Meadows Park, as Jeff said. That was in 1985. That's 40 years ago. His leadership was instrumental in rallying community support and organizing efforts to safeguard the park. He remained deeply committed to Huntley Meadows until just recently. That's amazing, and we should all aspire to be like that. Whenever Huntley Meadows Park or the environment faced threats such as from road construction or developments on proposed nearby properties, Harry was quick to strategize and mobilize action. He knew all the key decision makers, and he always had a plan. He taught me the importance of being persistent when working to protect our environment. He told me once, if you don't do something about it, maybe no one else will either. And then what will that leave us with? We saw the results of this when, thanks to Harry and many others, the road project proposed through the middle of Huntley Meadows was canceled in 1990. Harry understood that we needed to be constantly vigilant for adverse impacts that could harm Huntley Meadows or nearby areas. Harry's legacy lives on in all of us. He taught all of us how to protect our environment and our parks, not just for today, but for all of our tomorrows. He trained all of us to continue this vital work. Just stop for a moment and look around you. Look in front of you and beside you. Look behind you. See all the people who are present in this room. All of us have been touched in some way by Harry's passion and his teachings. As we celebrate Harry's life, let's remember his call to action. And I'm trying to look at every one of you, but there's quite a lot of people here today. He would say, go forth and conquer. And remember that it's now up to us to teach others how to protect our parks and our environment. Harry's spirit and lessons will guide us as we carry forward his legacy. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you, Kathy. I would be remiss if we didn't mention Norma Hoffman.
Exactly.
She was the one who really saved Huntley Meadows in the very beginning. Because actually Harry was not in Virginia until 1990, so he wasn't one of the founders, but he followed Norma's footsteps, and together they were quite a force. Are you laughing about Norma Hoffman?
A force is an understatement.
Harry had said that he could just mention the name Norma Hoffman to Tony Griffin, the county executive, and he would just shake her. And she was just a very small woman, and she would eviscerate attorneys and all these people that were going to develop, and after she did that, she'd send them a nice little thank you note. She killed them with kindness, so both ways work. Karen Sheffield, from the park manager for Huntley Meadows Park, is next on our agenda here. She was very special to Harry, and she worked at Riverbend Park before she came to Huntley, and that's another park that we love very much.
Hello, everyone. It's an honor and a joy to have known Harry and to have been his friend for over 20 years. As the park manager for Huntley Meadows Park, I recognize and know so many of you that are here today. And as we all gather as friends, we celebrate Harry, his welcoming nature, his joyful spirit, his leadership, his love of nature and the environment, and his legacy. Harry was a fierce park advocate and made positive impacts, but he also was so many more things to Huntley Meadows. He was a Friends of Huntley Meadows Park board member, as you now know. He was also a park volunteer and a friend. As a board member, Harry, with Nancy, would lead weekly bird walks at Huntley Meadows. He'd stop in the visitor center after the walk to catch up with staff. Harry was always so welcoming and knew the staff and what was going on in their lives. And of course, while he was in, he would take a little piece of chocolate from the very popular volunteer candy bin. Of course, Nancy wasn't supposed to know.
I took more than you did.
But once his mobility became limited, Harry and I frequently talked at the car, where he'd be waiting for the bird group to go to breakfast at Denny's. While Harry dedicated much time to Huntley Meadows serving on the Friends Board, he was also a park volunteer and did a multitude of things over the years. He wrote a tree guide. He used to lead nature walks. And for many, many years, he and Nancy monitored bluebird boxes. And while Harry was at the park, every so often, he'd come to my office and he'd say, you know, it's been a little while since we've been to Mama's Kitchen, which is the locally owned restaurant. And I knew that that meant it was time for a chat. So we would go to Mama's Kitchen and have many heart-to-heart talks about the environment, about Huntley Meadows, and he'd always manage to talk about the writings of Henry Thoreau. And in turn, whenever I needed to chat, all I had to say was, let's go to Mama's. Everyone knows Harry's favorite park is Huntley Meadows. However, his advocacy and support extended to all FCPA parks and Prince William and far beyond. Harry was a fierce protector of the environment and made positive, lasting impacts on the Park Authority and other counties as well through his advocacy, mentorship, and leadership. Many years ago, I met Harry for the first time while working at Riverbend Park. And when the waves of troubled times came to the Park Authority, he was there. He helped to organize concerned citizens, helped to create the Riverbend Friends Group, acted as a mentor to them, as he did with many, many others. Moreover, he was always there for staff. He was always there keeping spirits positive, explaining the processes, and sharing some of the advocacy friends and residents were doing to show support. He cared about the staff, and he was always there for them. Beyond that, Harry also helped gain unification of the separate friends groups in the Park Authority in order to work together for the collective Park Authority good. He always remained available to consult and talk with other Friends Group leaders. Now, Harry would credit Norma Hoffman for being a mentor. Harry continued that tradition for many, many years and was a mentor to countless numbers of people to give a framework for advocacy, being a friend of parks, and making positive change. Harry has been recognized by the Park Authority through multiple awards, which Bill alluded to, for his unbelievable environmental stewardship. But through it all, Harry was there, advocate, supporter, and friend. His legacy lives on through many of you. The torch has been multiplied and now has been passed.
Thank you, Karen. Next we have Bobby Longworth, the Executive Director of the Fairfax County Park Foundation and a very good friend to Harry. He just loved having chats with Bobby or going out for coffee or meeting at Sweetwater's favorite restaurant in Somerville.
Thank you, Nancy. These first 3 words may not surprise you. Henry David Thoreau said, "It's not what you look at that matters, it's what you see." Harry guided many of us to see beyond the obvious. I witnessed this personally and with his interactions with children and students, including my own grandchildren, Elise and Thomas. Of course, he preferred that those children were more seen and less heard, especially along a bird walk. One time I remember saying, "Let's go ahead before these chatty kids scare the birds away." Through active conversation, Harry was a natural teacher. He taught me that rest was a weapon when I needed to slow down. He was also a perpetual student, always reading and learning. While discussing trees at Huntley Meadows Park on one walk, I was inspired to not sing, but to recite the lyrics of The Trees by Canadian rock band Rush. You can imagine the rich discussion that ensued about the lofty oaks and the mighty maples, and that correlation with society and what was right. Harry was a generous humanitarian who cared about people and nature alike. His Army intelligence training came through as he cultivated many relationships. He was often the first one to reach out to new hires, as he did with me, to Amy Vosper, to Margaret Thaxton, and many others who remembered that first coffee with Harry. He was in good company, sharing a birthday with I'm a Volunteer Heidi Allen and Brooke Nielsen from the Park Foundation. I am fortunate to have shared 2 decades and more than 14 of those as Harry served as a board director and secretary on the Fairfax County Park Foundation. He was a present and engaged volunteer until his passing. Harry supported the Burke Lake Park Shelters, the Woodland Stewardship Education Center at Eleanor C. Lawrence Park, and he loved 4-H. He would sponsor the equestrian area at Frying Pan Farm Park at the Fairfax County Fair. But he most typically gave unrestricted funding through the years, even when that came with a little less recognition, because he wanted his funds to help wherever needed most to benefit the parks. During our, by the way, our countless drop-in meetings and phone calls, Harry became a dear and trusted friend, as did Nancy Beers. While it's not the same without him, our world is a better place because Harry was in it. I am a better person for having known Harry, and will remember him always. We join to honor his lasting impact on our community today. Together, we can celebrate Harry's continued life through our future actions, by supporting one another, and by caring for our natural world.
Thank you, Bobby. Now, who all wants to go to Sweetwater with me? Ooh, are you paying? Next on our agenda here, I guess not really agenda, but that's what I'm used to, is a dear friend from the Monday morning bird walks. I met him back in, well, I retired in 2012, so that's when I officially joined the bird walks. Before then, for a few years, I came on the holidays and joined them. But we had Stuart Davis representing the Monday morning birders. Stuart.
I feel honored to be asked to represent the wonderful people that make up the Monday morning bird group. For those of you who are not familiar, we meet every Monday morning in the Huntley Meadows parking lot, 7 o'clock in the summer, 8 o'clock in the winter, and that includes yesterday when the wind chill out on the boardwalk was about 10 degrees. And then after our birding, we meet at the nearby Denny's to compile a bird list. And there we are served by our wonderful Moroccan waiter, Mo, who's been with us for a long time. My wife Pam and I first visited Huntley on a Monday morning in 2003. We were warmly welcomed by a gentleman with a well-trimmed white beard and twinkling blue eyes. We discovered that this friendly person was named Harry, and he told us all about the history of the park and shared with us some of the natural wonders that Huntley Meadow offered. And then, of course, he invited us to join him and the other birders for breakfast at Denny's. Rain or shine, during hot weather or cold weather, Harry was always there to welcome all comers to Huntley Meadows. And as has already been suggested, during winter months, Harry always seemed totally impervious to the cold. Usually wore about 3 layers less than the rest of us did. We learned that Harry was first introduced to the magic of birds as a boy when he spent his summers in northern Minnesota and heard the magical and mysterious sounds of the loon. After coming to the Washington area, and he was involved in so many of the different activities that you've heard about already. But it was in 2000 that he took over the leadership of the Monday Morning Bird Walk when his predecessor moved out of town. Harry was the glue that held together this tight-knit group of individuals for whom Monday morning became truly a consequential part of our lives. Monday morning was partly about birds, but it was also about friendship. It was about sharing common values about life and the natural world. Harry truly was in the business of inspiration. After his stroke, Harry became less able to complete the Huntley Walk and to serve as the recorder when we went to Denny's. It was then that Nancy began ably to step in to that role. Most of you know that Nancy has her own record of outstanding service to the Virginia conservation community, especially the Virginia Native Plant Association. Her love for Harry and devotion to his care has been truly an inspiration to us. So we say farewell to Harry, and we remember him for his gift of friendship and his wisdom. Thank you.
Thank you, Stuart. So now I have myself on the agenda. So I'll just say a few things here. Nobody used the word that I used to describe Harry. Schmoozer. Harry was a champion schmoozer. You know, he was always after information. You know, he'd meet with new people and, you know, go out to lunch or coffee with them, and he'd, you know, talk them up, become friends, and try to get information out of them. He taught intelligence school, so I guess he knew how to do that. Harry and I met through my job as clerk to the Board of Supervisors, and he was on the Park Authority Board. He came up to my office and wanted a document notarized, the statement of economic interest that they had to fill out at that time. So I said, fine, you know, there are a bunch of people that do that. Even John Ribble, who just passed away, he was from the BZA. They'd come up and have me do it once a year, and I'd see these folks. Well, Harry came up, and then he started chatting with me, and he said, hey, we should go out to lunch. Okay. You know, I had a boyfriend at the time. He was married. We were just friends. We went maybe once a month. We used to like the Macaroni Grill in Fairfax because Sweetwater's a little farther away. Now we go to Coastal Flats or California Pizza Kitchen. So it was kind of nice. And I came to find out that he did this because he was trying to pump me for information. He thought he could get the inside scoop on the Board of Supervisors so that, you know, he could use it to his advantage to get more, you know, funding or something. I hated to tell him that I really didn't have the inside scoop. But we then became more than friends, and he ended up moving into my home in Manassas in Prince William County, so he had to give up his Park Authority board seat. That was a little tough for him. But he was warmly welcomed into the Park Foundation Board because money doesn't have jurisdictional boundaries. So that worked out very well. We never got married, and people sometimes ask me why. Well, you know, I was 49, 50, over 50 when we got together. Wasn't going to have children or anything. And I always wanted to be an independent woman. I always wanted to have my own money, and I didn't want to mix it with anybody. You know, it's kind of hard to be married if you do that. And I didn't know how to share. And we had a standing joke that I didn't know how to share because I never went to kindergarten. We didn't offer kindergarten back then. You had to pay to send your kid to kindergarten back in Prince William County in the mid-60s. So I didn't learn to share. But that's a joke that Harry and I would always, or I would bring up all the time. If there was something that somebody should have learned when they were really little, I would say, well, I never went to kindergarten. You know? And also, you know, Harry was married 3 times. I should say he was divorced 3 times. And he used to joke that he didn't want to do that to somebody he loved after he'd gone through 3 divorces. So that's my story, and I'm sticking to it. Obviously, we had a love of nature. I'm one of our, before we formally got together, we were just friends. He had never been to Bull Run Park to see the bluebells. And I said, oh, you have to go there. So I grew up kind of across the creek from Bull Run Park. So we got to see the bluebells, and we also heard the birds, and he could recognize the songs of the birds, and I could identify the few different species of flowers that were there. But so many birders don't really equate the flowers, the plants with what attracts those birds. The insects need the plants, and the birds need the insects, and it's a whole system. It's not just I like birds. You got to know where the birds live because of this kind of habitat. So we were a good pair. And as Harry got older, his hearing wasn't as good, and I started amazing myself that I could identify birds by sound. But now they have this app called Merlin. So anybody can identify a bird by sound. But I was amazed that Harry could do that early on. He worked in a world of secrets when he worked for the government. I worked in a world of government of transparency and open government. So we had different philosophies there. I felt like my records were all open to the public, and he was a different sort there. He loved to keep up with the news. He was a proud Democrat, and even back when he worked for the Department of Defense, he used to talk about he was the lone liberal or something there. But he loved his work, and he loved being the lone liberal. He always watched PBS News because he hated commercials. And so he'd watch the BBC News, BBC America, and then he'd watch the News Hour and all that kind of stuff, and he loved that. But then, even though it was commercial free, they were always advertising themselves, and they were always begging for money, and he hated that too. But he was very good with the remote and cutting that off. But later on, not long before he died, he had a lot harder time using the remote. When we first met, Harry, walked pretty well, but I was always a very fast walker. And his goal at the time was just to keep me in sight. But then, later on, Harry met Mr. Kane. And he would talk about Mr. Kane could open doors, stop traffic. People did things for you when you had Mr. Kane. So here's Harry. Think of Harry holding Mr. Kane. He never wanted to use any other kind of mobility device, and that would have been helpful to him, but he liked his cane. It was dignified. So I could go on and on about Harry. He loved my family. We used to always go to Thanksgiving, and he loved going where there was all this chaos and dogs, lots and lots of dogs and stuff. But he wasn't able to go this past Thanksgiving, and that disappointed him. So I don't want to get all weepy here or anything, but he was very special to me, and I'm very pleased that one of his daughters was able to come, his daughter Cindy, my younger daughter. His older daughter visited him, came down from Massachusetts to see him when he was in the hospital. So she couldn't make it today, but she did visit him when he was still alive. So I guess now, if anybody would like to say a few words from the audience here, anybody want to? You can have the microphone, or you can speak loudly. Have a takers running up.
Good morning, everyone. This is amazing. Thank you for those wonderful words. That was a nice trip down memory lane. My name is Elena Ryan. I've only known Harry for about 10 years, but Wow, what a character. I'm here speaking for Kevin Monroe, who is the park manager before Karen, who spoke earlier. Kevin says, in the time I was lucky enough to be working at Huntley Meadows, I was especially lucky to bird, talk, and work with Harry. Between the 2008 recession, the wetland restoration project, and other significant changes in Huntley Meadows, we all had our hands full. No matter what happened, no matter how challenging, and no matter how frustrating an issue might be, Harry always had a smile and a twinkle in his eye. His approach was always, okay, what's going on and what can we do to help? Then he'd listen to whatever I needed to vent about and start working his magic to turn things around. He always seemed like he knew something the rest of us didn't, and he knew it would all be fine in the end. Harry is a major player in my list of best memories from Huntley Meadows Park, and I'm not sure wherever he is, and I am sure wherever he is, he's birding, fixing problems, and making sure everything is fine in the end. My memory that I'll share about Harry, we were talking about something, and he goes, over the course of this conversation, he goes, "Don't buy their bullshit, kid." I had no idea what we were talking about. I don't know who the day was in this situation, but it was good advice then. It's good advice now. Thank you, Harry.
Laura, another very special person in Harry's life.
Good morning. I'm Laura Grape. I've known Harry, gosh,
Public Works guys?
since probably 2000. So it's been a long time, a quarter of a century, which is amazing. Harry and I were a very unusual friendship when we think about just the age difference between us. But he was a really special person in my life. Went to coffee, you know, it did all the things that we heard about just a little bit ago. But we always seemed to interface with one another in a variety of different ways and became a true family friend as well. What I wanted to do today is share 5 lessons that I learned from Harry. And again, there's just a lot of interactions that we had over 25 years. And he loved you so much, Nancy. My first lesson, as you all know, and probably know from getting to know Harry, is that he was very proud of his heritage. So he visited his homeland, he wore the clothes, he really appreciated it and he drank it. So good scotch is whatever you enjoy drinking. The best scotch is the good scotch enjoyed with friends. So I hope we all raise a toast to Harry a little bit later. The other thing that I learned from Harry, and again, from so much of what everybody has shared with their experiences of him being a natural resources champion, is that if you're going to champion something, then be a champion. Don't stop. Keep learning. Keep going. And I think that is something that certainly I take with me moving forward. I don't remember what meeting it was, but I met Harry for a coffee or something, a lunch, and I was telling him about all the things that what was going on. I'm probably working with Public Works at the time. I was young, I was an ecologist, I was collecting all sorts of data, I was really proud of that. And he turned to me and he said, "So what?" Yeah. And I went, "What do you mean? Look at all this stuff that we're doing." And he said, "So what? What's it all for?" I've never forgotten that. And every time that I take on something new, or we're looking at what it is that we're doing, what's the difference that we're making? So what? Why does it matter? The other thing that once I started to have kids, Harry was really excited for me, my husband Rob. He would always ask about how we were doing. And then as the kids got older, he was very concerned. He'd be abhorred that I have my iPhone here and looking at it for my notes and things like that. But he was really concerned about the future. And he would ask, he's like, Laura, do your kids just, are they on their iPads all the time? And I would just be like, no. Yeah, they do get a lot of screen time, but there's a lot that can be learned from the screen if it's used properly too. But what he would always ask, he would say, well, don't they ever just stop and lay down and look at the clouds? And I said, yes, they actually do that. That is something that is really impactful and really important for them to do too. They do play outside. That, I think, is that twinkle in his eye, that sense of wonder, making sure that we all stop, sit down, and look at the clouds from time to time. Let's do that a little bit more. And then the final lesson that he taught me was, if you don't find what you're looking for, keep searching. Keep searching.
He was losing things all the time.
Put an air tag on it, you might find it later. No, I'm just kidding. But no, keep searching. And Nancy, again, I think that is, he was really so, I've never seen him happier than when he was with Nancy. So just keep going. Let's all just, I'm so proud of being, friends with Harry for all these years. And I know we all share a lot of experiences with him, and I, again, will miss him very much. Thank you.
Virginia Soil and Water, and now Park and Park Board. Pax?
Hi, Nancy, so my name is Pax. I had the incredible, oh my goodness, there are a lot of people here. But being short gets you, I had the incredible opportunity to interview a bunch of Monday morning bird walkers at Huntley Meadows, compiled them into an interview project, and it's called Walking Along, and you can see it at the park desk at Huntley Meadows. But I wanted to share part of the interview that I had with Harry, because it just blew me away. You've got to imagine we're sitting on a bench at Huntley Meadows, and he starts talking, and he ends up with this. We talked about how he used to follow the people, who were birding and be behind them, because they weren't even always talking about birds, and so he had to, point the birds out to some of them, etc. But then at the end he said, the people here, they love birds, they love nature, they love this park, and they love each other. And I thought that was just remarkable.
I'm Sarah Mayhew, and one of the things that hasn't been mentioned yet, and Harry seems to have been sort of quiet about this, he was one of the people that was responsible for the founding of the Fairfax Master Naturalists. Not only was he among the, 6 or 7 people who got the organization off the ground in Fairfax County, but he also compiled our original training manual, which we still rely on today. It's been updated a little bit, but basically, he created the course that trains the Master Naturalists. In addition to that, he recruited the teachers, the lecturers, for every single course. Wow. And convinced them to help us for no pay. So, there are currently 330 Fairfax Master Naturalists in the community, helping to lead projects. And I think the total number trained is well over 450, but people have moved, people have dropped out. But that's a remarkable legacy for which most people had no clue. So as past president of the Master Naturalist, a beneficiary of that very first Master Naturalist class in 2007, thank you, Harry.
Anyone else like to pass it back or you do it now?
Pass it back. That'll
Pass
be
it back
easier,
there.
then I won't be yelling. I'm Jim Hickey with the Friends of Lake Acapulco Park. And we've learned a lot about what Harry does. But if you went on a bird walk with Harry, let's say, you learned a lot about birds. And every now and then, you'd learn a little bit about Harry. One time, many years ago, my wife Suzanne and I were on a walk with Harry, and he told me what his 4 food groups were.
Oh.
Coffee, donuts, scotch, and Maalox. Words to live by.
Many of us know that. Dana, would you like to?
Well, I hadn't initially intended to say anything because the best politician already spoke earlier, and that's Jeff McKay, a young man that I hope you admire and respect as much as I do because I have the joy of getting out of his way. The lady earlier mentioned one of her speakers, when she stood up, she was amazed to see the number of people here. And I hope before everybody's done that you do the same. Take a look around this room. I'm at that stage in life, like most of us, I think in this room, that you go to far more celebrations of life, funerals, etc., than you do to marriages or other events. And I've also been to many services where the politicians have come and go. But if you look around this room, you see the incredible reach of the people who loved Harry and that Harry loved. So that's one point I wanted to be sure to make. The other is I first came to know Harry's playground, also known as Huntley Meadows Park, back when I was trying to keep pace with Senator Harry Byrds Jr. So that's going back many years. And back then, working for Joe Alexander, I was a part of them. I was part of that group pushing to make that roadway happen. So, not only am I a recovering politician, I'm a recovering member of them. And it's hard to recollect where that unstoppable persistence of Norma Hoffman stopped, and when that joy and persuasion and schmoozing, it was Harry began. And it was Harry's persistence and schmoozing that got me to act in 1990 to take that bloody road off the comprehensive plan.
Ooh, yay.
So also just wanted to note, I'm not sure exactly when Nancy and Harry became a thing, but I can tell you, I don't know among the folk in this room how many of you come to love cordless power tools. I'm one of them. But when you get to that point where you take a DeWalt drill and you take out that standard drill, that battery, and you put in a 20-volt battery, that's what happened when Harry and Nancy got together. I always thought of him as this radiating bundle of joy. And thinking about, Santa Claus kind of cornered the market for years, but he outshined Santa Claus for his glowing beard and twinkling eyes. But Nancy, thank you for keeping Harry with us for so many years. And thank you all for the love that you showed to Harry and that Harry returned.
We were lucky to have Harry for 85 years. His family, his father died before he was 50, right around when he turned 50. His mother had died when Harry was 11 from cancer. His brother, his older brother here, died when he was 63. So modern medicine kept Harry with us for quite some time. And I like to think a little bit of love helped. Anyone else? Yes. The new president of the Friends of Huntley Meadows Park, Liz Green.
Hi, good morning. It is so great to see everybody out here to honor Harry. I am the current president of the Friends of Huntley Meadows Park. And no one here has spoken on behalf of the defense intelligence community or here. But when Harry and I first met in 2019, I had recently retired from a career in intelligence. And I was volunteering at the front desk at Huntley Meadows Park as a brand new, newly branded Fairfax Master Naturalist. And Harry and Nancy came in after the Monday morning bird walk, and Harry said, well, I haven't met you before, you know, who are you? And I said, well, I'm Liz Train. She goes, so what did you do before this? And I said, well, I was a career in intelligence. And he goes, oh, okay, come over here. You got to tell me about that. And I said, Harry, you know I can't talk about that. But Harry and I actually overlapped at Defense Intelligence Agency. He was on the bunkers intelligence task force, and I was on the the counterterrorism intelligence task force. And he actually won the director's award. Vice Admiral Tom Wilson was the director of DIA at the time, and Harry won a director's award, which is really very prestigious. You should read the citation up here. And he was a phenomenal intelligence analyst. Even though I didn't know him and I didn't work for him, I know the work that he did. So on behalf of the defense intelligence community and that career. But one of the other things he said to me that same day when I first met him, and I told him I couldn't talk about my career, was he said, you've made the right pivot here, Liz. So I'm very grateful to Harry for confirming, you know, my intention to move into the conservation side after a career in intelligence, and he's just inspiring to me, and he's very inspirational.
Liz is a retired admiral. Anyone else? Well, if not, okay, you're sitting down so I can see. Hi, this is Jenny Reed.
Hi. Yeah, hi. So, I haven't known Harry nearly as long as most of you, but he, the first time I met him, I didn't really pay attention to him, but like the first time I paid attention to him, he asked me 3 questions, and I can't remember what the first 2 were, but the third one was, are you married? And I felt like, you know, at the time I was like, is he flirting with me or is he just being nice? I can't tell. And I both. I did eventually figure that out, yeah. But yeah, the thing that always struck me every time was that he actually listened when I answered. He asked me questions. He listened when I answered. He always told me what he thought, what he really thought, not, you know, like if it was a good idea, if it was a bad idea, if that was silly, if it was funny, if it was not funny, you know, whatever. But he also always made sure that I knew that he accepted me just the way I was. And that's not something a lot of people just don't really get. But, you know, he was a real gem, and obviously an environmental warrior, but everyone's covered that. But he was one of the gems of humanity, and real loss.
He is one of the elected members of the Prince William Soil and Water Conservation District Board. Marion.
I would just like to say on behalf of the Virginia Native Plant Society and particularly the Prince William Wildflower Society, how much Harry thinks of each and every one of us and the support and love he gives to these in her leadership. So we all are going to miss him so much, and we'll be there for him. So we love you.
Professor Emeritus from Northern Virginia Community College, Manassas campus. Ah, yes. Clancy.
Hi. I'm Clancy McQuigg from the Lakewood Doctor Point Civic Association, and we have for 50 years now considered Harry and his beautiful artwork here an inspiration with all you master gardeners out there, as we have worked with developers over the years trying to preserve the environment in Prince William County. We even got a Green Community Award from the state of Virginia once for the number of trees we preserved in Lake Ridge. So your guidance has been invaluable, Nancy. And we love you and we love Harry. And thank you very much for your service and for mentoring the rest of us while we try to carry on the fight with the Board of Supervisors. It is a fight.
I'm Alan Rousmore with the Northern Virginia Conservation Trust, and I've known Harry for about 10 years, and when I first got the job at NVCT, he called me up and said, let's go out to lunch. I don't think he was trying to date me, but he probably was schmoozing to get information. But he asked me about what my resume was and why I was worthy of a job at NVCT, and I gave him this long spiel about doing conservation work across the country and doing it in Washington. And he looks me right in the eye and says, so you don't know shit about Fairfax County. No, I don't. What should I know? And he proceeded to give me about 2 hours worth of a lecture on it. And I was privileged to get many of Harry's ranting phone calls about places we should be protecting that we're not. And I will say, I think there are a number of really important places protected in Fairfax County that Harry was one of the first to let us know about and to make happen. And we were proud to give him our 2013 Conservationist of the Year Award, which he probably could have won just about every year, and probably could have named it after him for that matter. So he's an indelible figure, I think, in Northern Virginia conservation, and he's brought a lot of us together, I think. And you know, people come in and out of your lives all the time, but Harry's one of those people that you remembered right away and that always, you know, left a mark. And so he will truly be missed, but I think all of the work we're all going to do to carry on is exactly what you would want us to do. You want us to get up out of here and start working on it right now. Thank you.
I'm going to have Veronica, the last speaker, and then we'll eat something. You've been sitting in these uncomfortable chairs or standing for a very long time.
Hello everyone. I'm here to honor Harry. And as Laura said, and as Jenny said, Harry is that person who would like to get everybody involved and to help him learn. I came to the US in 2009. And in 2011, I became a Fairfax Master Naturalist. And when I graduated, I was a certified volunteer because I was already volunteering for Fairfax County. And I first met Harry at the Early Dolly event. So when I met Harry and Nancy, Harry, if you know Harry very well, he's somebody who always likes to approach a new face. And when Harry saw me, he came closer to me just to ask questions, and that's how I got to know Harry. And Harry knew I was living in Prince William County and a Fairfax Master Naturalist. And that is when Harry told me about all the conservation things that are going on in Prince William County. Harry got me to join the Native Plant Society. Harry got me to attend the Prince William Conservation Alliance meetings. Harry got me to come out for a walk with him at the Oakpond Refuge. And I think one time we went to Hotley Meadow. Harry was always there to tell me, to teach me, to catch up with my new environment that I was so much craving to learn more as an environmental science student. And even when I had my internship with the National Park Service, Harry was like, Veronica, I hope they don't want you to do something. I hope, he was always like wanting you to do what you really want to do. And so that was Harry. Good enough, I've always been around Harry for a while. He became I met him at the Prince William Soil and Water Conservation District Board. And ever since, we've been together. And even though probably there was some misunderstanding, like Harry maybe thinking, you want to do what you're doing or something like that, that I never really got. But at one point, we came to some understanding, and my last time with Harry, which I knew, Harry and I were really, really, really in good condition and in good terms, was when we were coming back from the meeting, Area 2 meeting for Orange County. And Harry and I sat behind the car, we had great conversation, and talking about where I come from, Cameroon, and all whatnot, and all what Harry told me was, wow, Veronica, that is neat. We have to stop at Mukau for an ice cream. So we all stopped at Mukau, and Harry said, when we come over to the office, Veronica will drive me home. So I drove Harry home. I made sure I opened the door for Harry to come out. And I cherish that moment, and may he rest. Thank you.
Soil and Water Conservation District. So, a quick little summary from Jen. Good morning, everyone. I worked at Huntley Meadows Park. It was a joy for me. It was, of course, a joy to be noticed by Harry, just like everyone else. But I want to make a point here. As you look around this room, remember, Harry knows every one of our names. More importantly, Harry knows every one of our stories. And so we take Harry with us now as we leave this place today, and we remember his story and his name.